everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home.
Oh yeah, what coming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just realized I never checked any of my audio settings to make sure I was coming through on this microphone right here, so just kind of
Those are
popped
always
in the old
episodes where we
noggin.
decide to crank it up a little bit. Oh yeah.
Mike, we have some real Red Wing news to talk about.
Hey.
I went ahead and put some stats together for Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond contract, and lo and behold, we had
They
some other news
signed
come up.
him. Did they actually sign his contract at Little Caesars Arena? Is that where that photo's taken?
Looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah, they borrowed the Google offices for a picture.
I wasn't sure if they were in the Illich Business School where Steve was brushing up before he got in the negotiating room. Gotta get a few 101s in there before getting at the table with Big Ras.
Yeah, good representation here for Big Ras and his size. He definitely dwarfs. He dwarfisized, right? I feel like if I say he dwarfs Steve Yzerman, it sounds like he's smaller, but clearly Steve is the tinier of humans here. But let's talk about these numbers. I think it's good to just not make a whole episode about this, because I think it's good, right? These are the signings where it's like, sure, I mean, if I was doing it in the video game, maybe I'm locking this in under 2 mil, right? Maybe I'm not doing 4 years, but this is perfectly fine. And Ras has had a fun, he's had a fun couple of years. Let's not, it's not like we depend on him. There's been games where we would lose without him. But
Sure.
This isn't a guy that without him, besides last season when he got hurt and we lost like every game after he left, this season, I think, I'm not saying, right, this isn't a hot take, right? Like this wasn't like, oh, good, now we're primed for the Stanley Cup. No, this is a great piece. As long as he sticks to the bottom six, like we've been saying for this has got to be 3 straight seasons now. We've been begging, like, yes, Rasmussen can have nights where it looks like he's primed for the top 6, but no, his bread and butter. Yeah.
I love this number.
Yeah.
4 years at 3 mil. I mean, what is that? Like, it's like 4% of our cap. Is it that small? So it's a minuscule number. Like, if he needs a change of scenery, it's super duper tradable. My God. We've talked about some, madman deals that have been negotiated. We have a few of them on our team. Hi, Jeff Petrie. I mean, Ras, he's like, we talk about like it just transcends other sports. Like if you are athletic and a big person, you have a long career ahead of you. I mean, it transcends in football. It makes it harder for you to get injured. Same thing in our favorite pro wrestling. Big guys in basketball, it's harder for them to get hurt. It's even when you get hit, take bumps, you got a bigger body to frame it. And he's such a Swiss Army knife. You want me to play wing? You want me to play center? You want me to play, be a little bit more of a defensive forward? Do you want me on the first line for a couple games while somebody's, coming back from the injured list? Sure. He won't look completely out of place. What a diverse, player. And I think a lot of teams would be excited to have them on their roster. So I don't know what his agent was looking at in terms of like comparable deals, but I kind of feel like Yzerman shrewdly signed Rasmussen to this extension because I think we are in agreement that we have not seen the best of Rasmussen and that it's still to come. And so if you're going to get him at that 3 mil for 4 more years, Matt, that's I think it's definitely a deal you should be pretty excited about if you're a Red Wings fan.
Yeah, if you look at the point per games number, he's right around where he was last year. Although he'd need 6 points in the next game to be neck and neck with his numbers from a year ago. But wind the clock back a couple years, and it's not quite doubling like the points per game or points per 60, however you want to do that, but it's definitely going up. And we've seen this guy turn into one of your shutdown forwards, right? Like they were him, Andrew Kopp, and
Fisher.
Yeah, it would flip around a little bit, but yeah, for the most part, I think if there's going to be two guys that you need to keep around to make that line what it was, and we went pretty deep into Andrew Kopp's numbers, Rasmussen is the other guy, right? Fisher would be the odd man out, in my opinion. But not to say he's terrible, but I do think they at least nailed it here as one of the guys that I think we've seen in the past, maybe for more prominent roles. And not in the Steve Yzerman era, but we've seen Red Wings players. We've seen players across Detroit sports who have benefited from players around them. But this is a guy that when he is successful, it's Rasmussen getting it done. Does that make sense? So like you're getting the guy that when things are going his way, it's not like Andrew Kopp's going out of his way to like make a play for Rasmussen to get up front and just tap one in the back of the net. No, Rasmussen just goes beast mode and takes over.
Sure.
And to your point with making sure you're keeping size on this team, oh my God, when we finally get into the playoffs, is there any other guy on this team besides Dylan Larkin that you would point to right now and say, oh man, there's going to be a guy who's going to make a huge difference when this team is a playoff team? My mind, Rasmussen is number one. I think we have a lot of high skill guys that you can't get to the playoffs without.
Sure.
But I think if you're looking for a guy that's going to be your difference maker in the playoffs, we don't know for sure. But if I had to put a guess out there, I would have always said Tyler Bertuzzi. But now, where this roster sits, I think Rasmussen is not far-fetched.
I think we've seen some glimpses of it this year. We know his point production's not where he would like it, where we would like it. We know.
Right.
But when we've had games against, the Bostons, I'm really thinking about like the Florida Panthers games where it felt like we were just completely getting bullied like on every single shift. And it was like an almost unwatchable slog of a game. And like one man, was that lighthouse, that beacon out in the oceanic darkness that was our attempts to forecheck and get goals. And that was Rasmussen. So if you're planning for the future, my God, Matt, I forgot he's only 24 years old. Woo-hoo-hoo! So, I mean, you also kept this guy through, when he figures it out, when he's like 26, 26.
Right.
So they still gave him wiggle room to like, dude, if you actually start scoring points, you can still get one more mega deal before you have to hang him up. Yeah, as far as a guy, like you said, who is probably going to do pretty well in the playoffs, who we've seen, be, noticeable in games against, bigger, stronger teams. This is our dude. So I think this is an awesome contract. And if they got him at $3 million, my God, Matt, it's unfortunately also a reminder of how hard it is to be like the general manager and like sign centers. Because think about if there was some unbelievable way you could have had Kopp or Comfer at this number, like for that many years, like what you could have done with this team. But unrestricted free agency is a completely different animal rather than a guy that you've been grooming and you're just trying to retain. So this is a big win. This is really cool.
And, to talk about, how this works for the team is one thing. Rasmussen just doubled his salary with effort and we get to see a guy that's performed better. Like we've actually been able to watch a guy who stumbled around and his points per 60 weren't there. His defensive game wasn't there. And now we see a guy that we can rely on for specific events in every game. And you know what? Good for Rasmussen. Doubling your salary and locking it up for 4 years. Thumbs up all around. Jared throwing out there. Ras just stared Stevie down with his crazy eyes. It'd be funny. That's I threw out there that was supposed to be a $3 million contract, but Big Ras bullied little Steve there to get that extra 0.2. Turn to the all right, smile at the camera, tiny man. But for sure, Big Ras earned this thing. But yeah, we got the actual news out of the way. We've got a couple of things we want to talk about in regards to Moritz, Seider, Lucas, Raymond. But we have some other fun news to talk about, Mike. March 1st, I think, a year from now, we will be. I'm going. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. Headed to Ohio Stadium, be the Detroit Red Wings versus the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Buckets. Yeah. Actually, I low-key really, really like Columbus, Ohio. They have some really good restaurants over there. And their
Mike's
zoo
going to talk about their zoo. Yep.
It's phenomenal. Let me tell you about their zoo. That is a 2-day experience, my friend. I don't even do Disney's Animal Kingdom for 2 days. I would do the Columbus Zoo for 2 days. Man, it's a blast.
Yeah, I think this for me was I made the joke online where I was like, well, this is clearly representation of how much Columbus depends on Michigan for all of their sports and rivalries and relevance.
There we go. We found a way to still rib them. There we go.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'm sure Columbus hates us, but even in our playoff bouts, we've got a sweep in there.
Ooh, Decoy, God bless your soul, saying their zoo has a koala. Closest one to Detroit, Decoy. Me and you are vibing, buddy. And yeah, man, if we want to further rib Columbus, I mean, all my favorite things about Columbus have been imported. So lest we forget, it's chefs that they've brought in from other states and animals that they've had to bring in from Australia to trick me into going there. So well done, Columbus.
Another thing to be excited about, we will have, we're one. Okay. Well, here's the thing. It's going to be a Fanatics jersey, I think, but we will get an extra jersey next year to consider purchasing, because we'll get, I was about to say like, oh, this is cool. We get another one, but I do think,
I love that their company name is Fanatics, because you got to be an absolute fanatic to justify buying one of these pieces of shit.
The conversation got out there in the Discord. If you guys want to join, the link is in the chat. Showing off the new baseball jerseys. I've seen the MLB say that the players love them. And all I can find, along with what was posted in the Discord, is how much the players hate them and how cheap they think they are, and just the I forget what the actual phrase was to say that the names and numbers are I don't know, I'm gonna say melted because I can't remember. It was some sort of heat application for these numbers and names, and yeah, the call out was like, yeah, first guy that slides into second, you're losing everything that's on the front of that jersey. But clearly more physical sport with the NHL, so hopefully baseball is they'll trot out an experiment.
Hopefully they really iron on those iron-ons. That'll really keep
iron-on. God, why couldn't I think of that?
That's what you're going for. Corey Manning also excited to see the future of those jerseys. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with Matt. We're probably gonna buy a $3,000 souvenir. So yeah, we'll probably end up buying them. So hopefully they're not too awful, because we're each gonna be getting one.
Yeah, I've done the Winter Classic in Ann Arbor. I didn't go to the Toronto game, or what was the other one? Chicago.
Yeah.
And I honestly said, like, this was such a great story. I tell the story way too often in Ann Arbor, so I don't want to miss another one. So yeah, I will be I'll be in Columbus, and I'll want to be decked out in all their fantastic Fanatics stuff.
I do. Let me.
This is a good call out by Jared. Actually, game's gonna feel like a home game for the Wings. Poor Columbus.
Yeah. I was just checking the slides because there was one other. Oh, you put it in there. Beautiful. I didn't know you were doing that. Cool. Yeah, we can roll to the next slide.
There it is.
No, not that one. That one.
Yeah, I saw something about. So this is Sana.
Are you gonna miss it? Oh, you're gonna miss it, dude. Oh, because they're doing the Crimson. I don't know if you've seen it. Matt's got the slide up, but Fanatics is dog crap. But Sana, my God, do they put out some cool stuff? So they're gonna have a special giveaway for the Red Wings. Um,
I think it's a pop-up shop within
oh, it's for
LCA, so you
purchase.
got it. Yeah, you got to
Oh, my
pay full
apologies.
price for this stuff. I don't know. I don't really know too much about Sana, to be honest, but I did see a lot of
You
focus on
you don't know that
sustainability.
you know it. Yeah, they have a lot of cool stuff, where the designs, like the, T-shirts, like, they
Yeah.
have these kinda macabre looking, like, monster versions of, like, the logos. So they have one if you, Google, like, Sound of Red Wings, you'll see some with, like, the giant octopus coming up. Looks pretty sweet, but I've seen them at work. People have them for the Detroit Lions, and they're kind of ferocious looking lions. With like Detroit, city names, stuff like that. But yeah, people are pretty excited about these Sana offerings. So yeah, I wouldn't mind taking one of them home. To be honest, look pretty cool.
Well, yeah, you gotta get a ticket for that game. That's pretty wild.
I actually
At this
am
point,
gonna
that's
think
the
about getting
only.
tickets.
Oh yeah,
The only
no,
thing that's stopping me is that, we really need to win these games, and you and I have a horrible streak right now of
yeah,
live attendance and win-loss, so
just horrible.
yeah.
Um, Crimson, that's a beautiful jersey.
That is so cool, man. Look at that.
Yeah, I did like they got old time hockey mixed in there too. The guy with the oh hello there videos. He got mixed in with the photo shoot there. Um, but yeah, this is I thought this was pretty cool. I thought they looked cool. I didn't know much about Sada, but yeah, I'm looking at it now. It is pretty sweet. I'm kind of hoping there's like a shop by my work. I feel like there's something similar to this. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, Sana Detroit. Very cool.
Yeah, so if you
Um,
guys have some tickets, or you wanna get tickets, do it next, Tuesday. That's when they're gonna have those out there.
so I the next picture I put in here is more just like a reminder for myself. But there's been a couple of conversations. One on a 32 thoughts, and then another on spitting chicklets. Um, but it's gotten out there a couple of times of like, how has LCA not had an all-star game yet? It's a brand new arena that doesn't like it. It's not like this is it's not like we're talking about the Super Bowl. We're just talking about an NHL all-star game. And Spit and Chicklets took the stance of this should have already happened, but they should
Yeah.
get it in 2026, I think, because they already have 2025 scheduled or something like that. Elliot Friedman, however,
Mm.
said
What does Savant say? Yes.
the reason they haven't been given anything is because of all the vacant land around the LCA, and
Mm.
that within the Red Wings organization, they are holding these events hostage until that stuff gets done. And as we all know, the city of Detroit isn't willing as willing as they were because they've seen some of the outcomes here to shell out. And now Elliot Friedman didn't use the words hostage. That is what I'm taking from this, because if it's within the Detroit organization that they don't want to do this until they get this land sorted out, that's what it feels like to me. Are the Illiches like, sorry, City Detroit, we've told the NHL no because
Well,
we can't have people showing up and seeing all this
I
vacant land?
I haven't read Friedman. I haven't listened to the podcast that you're referencing, but I do have a pretty strong confidence knowing that the Illiches own a lot of that vacant land. Um, and there's been questions about, well, you had all these ambitious plans when we got the stadium approved, and you were supposed to also develop all these other areas. Do we have a timeline for that? And it still feels like they're a little behind on that portion. And if you guys go down there, it's not completely desolate, right?
Yeah, it's
There's stuff
not.
within
Yeah,
walking
vacant.
distance.
It
There's,
it's projects that are like supposed to have already started and they have not.
Sure, and I think that people have kind of, or businesses have taken up a lot more residents. Was that south down Woodward? And they haven't really developed as much. A little bit north of the Woodward, like kind of parallel to Comerica and Little Caesars. But it's not like there aren't things to like encourage people to go down there because we've seen a bunch of pop ups, and my God, they're talking about mom spaghetti. People, that thing's been in existence for what, like 3 years now, 4 years. And they're acting like it's brand new. So I don't know what's silly about this, and I kind of want to defer to our listeners and viewers. Would you go to the All-Star game? Because I I don't know if maybe I've outgrown them, but I'm not like I don't think that it's been there because I don't know what kind of fan interest there actually is to host an All-Star game. I would think that people would be a little bit more interested in something like, an NHL draft. That you know, because that's something that we can actually see Steve work his magic and, surprise people and shock people. But an all-star game, I don't know. Does that really do it for you guys? I mean,
Well,
I get these
Blake,
are two different arguments,
yeah,
but maybe
Blake threw
I'm saying they go hand in hand because you might not have the demand of the people to have one. So why are we in a rush to host it?
well Blake throws out there F the All-Star game. I will say, when the All-Star game is in a city,
Boom.
it's not the NHL's event anymore. It's
Yeah.
that city's event. Look at DeBrincat throwing 6 points in the most recent All-Star game, and Austin Matthews walking away with the MVP of the event. So, and how many Toronto Maple Leafs were actually there? It was 5 or 6 or something. You know what? There's evidence. I did not watch it. I didn't watch it. But if it was in Detroit, I'd probably make an effort to go. But I think to your point, Mike, and gosh, maybe against my Detroit trying to get more money out of the city of Detroit before they finish up more of their projects. People don't really come from across the globe to see the All-Star game. So maybe there's nothing to that, and it really is just like maybe it's the NHL coming around and just saying like, "Hey, we need some more of these buildings filled out with something. We need less of dirt lots that you fenced off and more actual things." Yeah, and, Crimson threw out there the draft. How
Well,
could there still be vacant lots?
yeah,
But even
I want to pump the brakes on that because they're not even focusing on like Ford Field or the multitude of venues that we have up Woodward. They're doing it at Campus Martius and Hart Plaza, and those aren't really the newer developed areas. Those are the ones where they're kind of like, well, this is something we can kind of protect. It's been around for a long time, so it's like I was kind of had a cursory focus on the draft. I was like, oh, do I really want to sit there and watch teams pick it? Anyway, I didn't realize it was at Campus Martius, and that should be kind of surprising. I don't know how it's not like in our main Woodward area. And I feel like that again kind of shows you that it's like they don't want to show those open wounds up Woodward.
Yeah, I mean, take a hop and a skip. There's a skyscraper that's like 75% done, but not done. So you'll have to come back to Detroit to see the finished product. I don't necessarily think that was a part of the plan. But it's I don't know. I think it's still worth like when you look around if the All-Star game exists, why wouldn't you want it?
Sure.
If it was like you could pick between the two, for sure, I think I'd agree with you. But I also the NHL is trying to just do a non-event draft going forward. It'll be just over Zoom, is some of the talk. So not as much fun coming up soon for the draft, but
It was Dan B. We're in Dan being decoy and we're vibing today because he's also saying I'd rather go to a draft than all-star game. Last time Detroit 87. That's the year I was born. So that's the last one we got.
Crimson throws out there. You're right by Windsor. You get a lot of Canadians coming. Blake says, I saw this. Blake, I just wanted to call this out. I'm not sure what you mean. Did I use a trigger word? And then he said you had to say globe. Loser. I don't know what's going on there. Like, let me know what you actually mean. Fatstar, what's going on? Let's go Red Wings. Ketzel, what's up, nerds? All right, so we have some other stuff we want to talk about. Ketzel, I'm glad you're aboard. We are, what else did I have here? We do have our wild card conversation. We've got some Lucas, Raymond, Moritz, Seider contract talks I wanted to get into. So
before you get into that too,
yeah,
just talking about the NHL draft, just because you'd mentioned it, Ketzel reminding us draft won't have the same feel anymore with them going to teleconferencing. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about.
If it's just something where they keep leasing these buildings for this event and nobody's watching it, so they're just losing money on it. But I feel like that's a huge misstep by this organization, like the NHL. It's like, how many times have we seen teleconferencing, like the connection breaks and even with the improvements in business Wi-Fi, thanks Josh Brolin with Xfinity, a whore. But it's not a clean experience. Like, I'd rather have a broadcast and watch these kids, be excited. Nate Danielson aside, most kids are excited to get drafted. The large majority of them. And now we're gonna miss all these great moments because they're gonna be, I was chosen. Okay, I joined the Red Wings. Like, it's already kind of awkward, at least they had that little walk up to the stage where they could shake Bettman's hand and, compose yourself and try to act excited.
Man, did you just give Nate Danielson a Russian accent?
No, that was a general speaking hockey draftee.
All right. Well, real quick, we're going to jump into including some of the things you can bet on in the future here would be draftees, the NFL draft, of course, through DraftKings. So real quick, we're going to run through an ad. We'll come right back and talk about the action, enough of the news. Let's get into the Red Wings here and now. The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially coming up this spring. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now at DraftKings Sportsbook, we're giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right, make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot at cash later. You can throw down on all the major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. Red Wings have some pretty tough games coming up. Who knows? Maybe that just means the odds will be that much tighter. And if you put some money down on your favorite Red Wings team to win, which I'm sure you'd all agree, maybe things could go your way. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw with your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And we're back. All right. I think this is accurate. Tampa Bay sitting at 65 points. The Wingdings at 64 points. Our competitors, the New Jersey Devils. Wait. Oh, shoot. I think this is off by a day. Let's pull this up. Let's call Matt out. Anybody? We're going through the standings right now. I feel like the Devils caught up to us in games, but am I wrong? Yeah, we're all at 55 games. Plus, Tampa's at 57 games. Who's putting these slides together? Lazy sackish. Okay, anyway, 57. So we have 2 games up on Tampa Bay. We're 1 point behind.
Matt, I'm so sorry. My mic wasn't on, and I was trying to yell at you about a rib from Jared like 3 times, and I thought you were soldiering on through those comments, but actually you couldn't hear me. And anyone remember the guy that wore the question suit selling books about making free money? That's who Matt reminds me of when he gets all excited in the ad. Jared, I actually thought Matt, he turns a little bit into like Morty from Rick and Morty. So he's like, oh, geez, got a big tail. You don't want to miss it. And then that's my favorite part. Anyway, Matt, you were on a roll, and I was so sad that I 3 times wanted to give Jared credit for that rib, and we didn't get to.
I don't know what to say. I'm actually flattered. I like that guy's delivery. I forget what his name is too, but yeah, you're making money from the government. You just buy his question mark book. That was definitely like late 90s, early 2000s, like late night TV, right?
Oh yeah, we're aging ourselves with that reference. But I guess you had some hockey stuff you wanted to talk about in our hockey podcast.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, this the slide is off here. So we have 2 games on Tampa Bay right now as we speak. 1 point behind them. We have 55 games played for us and New Jersey and the Islanders. New Jersey and Islanders at 4 points behind us right now. 4 points behind us. Ah! And these are all basically like 500 teams points wise. So we're feeling pretty good. You got to be feeling good right now. Looking at these standings, looking at how the Red Wings are playing right now. Again, the plus 15 on the goal differential. Sure, Toronto, Boston, and Florida have dwarfed our number, but it's much better than Tampa Bay's. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about a game, against maybe the New York Rangers in the Metro instead of a game against the Florida Panthers round 1 of the playoffs, because we would hit that number 1 wild card seed. Mike, we've got a lot of safety here. A lot more safety than we were talking about last year, where last year, just if you were reading Max Boltman's articles this week, a good reminder that we were only like 3 points out of a playoff spot, and we had 6 games in hand or something like that. Or maybe I have that 6 points out and we had 3 games in hand. So it was like everything had to go our way. But now we've got some wiggle room. Damn it. You got to be feeling good right now. This is a lot different than last year. This isn't the same, like, oh man, if we just need to make it to the trade deadline with, 4 straight wins.
It's Matt, these are stressful times. Because I have some bad news. I think that 1, 2, or 3 in our division is over. It looks like Toronto is going to be a buzzsaw. Putting up, games where they're scoring like a touchdown and a field goal. So our offense is good. I don't think it's peak Toronto good. So that means they're going to be jockeying for the wild card, and those are hard spots to ever feel confident about, because you're like a 2-game losing streak from tumbling all the way down. Oh no! I do like that we've gotten a lot of difficult games out of the way in the last couple weeks. The Vancouvers, the Edmontons, and by God, we're going to take on those goddamn Avalanche tomorrow. Hopefully not get annihilated. But yeah, this is it, Matt. This I know it's supposed to be fun, but like this month, there's so much that hinges on the it'll like kind of indicate what we do with the future of this team. I know we've kind of alluded to it in like our past 2 episodes, but if they can be right there, if they can catch that wild card spot, we can be buyers and readjust what we do at trade deadlines, what we do in the offseason. But my God, if we tumble again, what? And we start selling guys off like, oh, we don't need Perron. We weren't going to re-sign him anyway. Kane is like, I really had a great time here, but I'm getting old.
Oh my God.
Like if those things start happening, woo! I'm not trying to be, Chicken Little with the, the sky falling, but woo, man, these numbers are close.
I am
I wish
falling.
that we could have put just a little bit more distance between us and the danger zone.
Well, I know you're gonna love hearing this, but I am falling so hard for Patrick. I would be so devastated. And like the press conference after, Steve's like, "Oh, hey, this was a part of the plan all along. We were gonna bring Patrick on.
We
We
really
told
wanted
him."
a third rounder in 2026.
Well, is that what you think you're gonna get? I think if he's on the market, he's the best forward available. I would rather have the way Patrick Kane's playing right now. I'd rather have Patrick Kane than Jake Gensel.
How dare you? But yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like, oh gosh, do we really want to get in the conversation of like what the offense looks like on the two different teams? And you've got Sidney Crosby having like an MVP caliber season. I love our team. We don't have that. That's not represented in the 4 forward lines or in the 3 defensive pairings. So, and I will. Oh shoot! I'll say it. I think Gensel has benefited from that for his whole career, and I would be very scared to be the team that overpays for Gensel. Somebody will. I don't want it to be us. We've done the Patrick Kane experiment. I would much rather overpay for Patrick Kane in the offseason, and I think that only happens if he makes it past March 8th in that Arizona game. And I will be absolutely heartbroken if we're playing that 9:00 game and there's no Patrick Kane in the lineup. I'm going to be devastated.
I think a good point Jared brings up is, we could easily win 8 out of the remaining games this month. I think we only got like 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If he's saying that 1, 2, including like Calgary and Seattle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we talked about, we were kind of stressed with this February schedule, like 2 Vancouvers and Edmonton, a Colorado. Can we go 500? But right now we're looking at what, 3-2. The tough ones tomorrow, and then you got St. Louis, Chicago, Washington, Islanders. All I would say pretty winnable. Those are teams kind of in our fighting class. My God, if they, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Man, what if they get like 8 points out of those games? Then you have to be buyers, right? Or are they they're not gonna stubbornly say, well, we're gonna see where this team's at in the offseason and we'll reassess then and make some shrewd maneuvers then.
Why not?
Oh no!
Why not?
No, Matt.
Why not? We made we could do the old Ken Holland thing. We did our trade acquisition back in December when we picked up Patrick Kane.
God.
Can't we do that?
You know why that's nauseating is because that's what they're gonna say.
No, I just like if you look around this team, like you're not like Perron's gone, right? So you got to make replacements there, and nobody wants Perron, so you're not going to be lucky enough to have that conversation with anybody. And then you bring in Bergeron, like that would be a move that I would just like. You guys want to talk about the Yzer plan? That would be all of these walls would need an expert cleaning team to come in, because I do plan on watching. I do plan on watching trade day all day in my office here. I'm gonna need an expert cleaning team. If the move is like, well, we got rid of Perron because we knew we could bring up Bergeron, and then we got rid of blankety blank because we knew we could bring up Edvinsson, and I feel like we've seen teams like, you know what, we're gonna trade away our starting goaltender because we know we can get something back, and we're gonna ride this guy into the this goalie who's good enough into the playoffs. Why can't we do that? Why can't that be our move? Like, let's still build up for the off season. Like, let's not force it, right? Like, I think we still, from the beginning of the season, and you know what? I called myself out in our little short clip this past week, but in like November, let's say I decided this team was good enough to make it to the playoffs. That's as it stands right now. So yeah, you could do the normal thing and pull an Ottawa Senators, possibly, and be a buyer. Or
what's so funny? What's so funny, Matt, is in terms of figuring out if we're going to buy or sell. Okay, we've done pretty good so far. Wow, we still got to see how bad this Colorado game turns out. Blake saying Matt is a Red Wing hater.
I don't know how with what I just said, I have no idea where Blake's coming from.
I was just gonna say that we have some games where we could potentially feel pretty good about ourselves as long as we don't have a Mike and Matt in attendance, Ottawa or Winnipeg let down. With St. Louis, Chicago, Washington Islanders coming up, but lest we forget, the deadline is March 8th. So right before those games could be two completely like neutering situations where we got to play Florida and Colorado back to back. And if we lose those two games, Eiserman say, you know what? No, I'm not I'm not buying for this team. You can't beat the elite guys, so we're gonna sell. So those two games are gigantic.
Jared called you out here. Mike brings piston energy every time he goes to a game at LCA.
That's not true. I dance in my chair. I get a lot of blisters on my hands from clapping. I got a lot of energy.
Crimson thrown out there. Hey, we've seen crazier trades. Nick Leddy for Sonny Wallman in a third. So don't discount Perron here. I guess I'm gonna throw out there, like, even at that point, I don't think anybody was really like, oh, Jake Wallman. All right. Like, it was definitely like, all right, let's see what we could get out of this. And it turned out great. Right. But we were going to, the second we signed Nick Leddy, or no, we traded for him. The conversation was, oh, I hope we could get that draft pick back right at the trade deadline. So we traded draft pick for Nick Leddy. And then the conversation turned to, oh, well, hopefully we get that draft pick back. So Nick Leddy was always gone. So it's a little different, I feel like, because now, yeah, we're talking about a completely different situation here where it's just, I also think there isn't really going to be a market either. Like, if you want to do what I'm talking about in trading Perron, the market is going to be us. It's supposed to be us going out to be buyers, where you might not get too much for Perron because nobody's really calling and going, hey, you guys are making it to the playoffs, but can we have your veteran power play specialist? Yeah, sure. Yeah, he's available. Matt, I don't know if you guys listen to Red Wings Rant, but he totally nailed it. We're going to bring up Bergeron after we trade. So it's like, like, those phone calls aren't coming. So you're not going to be able to drum up, especially since Eiserman is notorious for never talking to the Elliott Friedmans, the Saravallis. So yeah. So there's a little bit of that game that sucks, but
I would be shocked if they traded Perron. They trade Perron if, we only go like 500 in February and then we lose Florida, Colorado. Then you trade him. But otherwise, if they're still kind of where they're at right now, no way. He's not going anywhere. They value him too much in the locker room.
Now, I buried Getzel a minute ago, but if we're talking Getzel for like a draft pick in Perron, and we're like, look, Pittsburgh, you're out, but you still need to fill out a lineup. That's a hell of an upgrade.
They're going to want, picks and Bergeron.
I know, but they do like their old guys. Jared, throw it out there. Dubas would get chucked in the Allegheny if he traded for Perron. I don't know. Dubas might already be headed that way already with the way the team turned out and all the money they're spending. Yeah, I think Blake throws out there we're going to win 20 out of 27 here. That's
optimistic, sir.
Those are some Boston Bruins circa 2023 numbers.
I mean, I guess we just keep cranking up those low danger shot percentages. We crank it up to like 6 or 7, I think, maybe. But
yeah, I mean, if you're counting on, the right side of this defense getting upgrades, Blake, at the trade deadline, maybe it just gets highlighted to how much that was an issue for us. But, we'll see. Craig, he's with me. They stayed pat this year because they're bigger fish to fry, Mike. Oh, that's not it. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, we did good. We did good against
we don't
Seattle.
have to see that Edmonton one. That was, we could skip. We'll scroll right past that one.
Well, I brought up the Edmonton one, or I kept it because I was like, a week ago we were talking about these hockey stat cards, and I was like, this is what you want. You want this Edmonton card where there's like nothing negative against you, and Connor McDavid is almost a +10 on the game score, which I know you guys hate analytics. But for the Wingdings against Calgary in that 5-0 game, it was Moritz Seider who didn't quite get up to 4. But, the look of the graph is pretty similar. It's just, the top end wasn't as grand as Edmonton. But yeah, that's why I kept that in there.
Then it looks better.
Yeah, it's just, you've still got some confusing results in Seattle where it's just.
Wow, look at Petrie.
Still some tough chances going against. Yeah, Jeff Petrie walks away as the best player in Seattle. And you know what? Eyeball test, Ben Sherratt is why Jeff Petrie has those high scores. Ben Sherratt was a madman. He was a dangling son of a gun against Seattle. I don't know what happened there. We had so many 4-on-4s. Hats off to Sherratt. I've got my headphones on, so I can't take my hat off. I refuse. Hats off to Sherratt, figuratively, because man, he looks so good. And then, he wins it. So it's just a hell of a game for Ben Sherratt. Jeff Petrie benefits from that on one of the faults of gamer scores and on ice percentages.
By the way, I did see an irresponsibly written article from Bleacher Report. So, already considering the source, that's probably why. But it was like, one player every team should look to trade at this year's deadline. And for us, they put Sherratt out there.
You make space for Edmonton. It's not.
That's one of Steve's boys, though. He's not going anywhere. That's like Yzerman trading Fabry. That's one of his guys. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, there's solutions if he were to get hurt, right? But I don't. Yeah, I agree with that. But
hold on, we got a bid for a comment of the episode. Decoy saying Kane and DeBrincat are like Mr. Fuji and Don Morocco. They can't be separated. They actually have separated them a little bit, Decoy. I don't know if you've been watching recently. I think just trying to unlock DeBrincat a little bit because I saw him getting some first-line minutes and kind of moving Lucas around, who's been playing incredible.
Yeah, they've unlocked Lucas Raymond, Mike, which got me thinking. Based on the numbers I've been sent over the last week, some of these were DMs, some of these were through X. I almost said Twitter again, and then we were talking about it too on the Discord again. Join the Discord, ladies and gentlemen. It is a fun time. I'll put up the banner here if you could. And you know what? While we're doing this, if you guys could hit the like button, I'd really appreciate that. Everybody watching right now, just hit that like button for us. Subscribe if you're new to the show. Based on these numbers I've been sent over the last week, where do you see Lucas Raymond's salary landing next season? Half of you guys are in the $6 to $7 million range. 10% with the $7 million plus. 5 to 6 mil, 4 to 5 mil, they're getting 27% and 14% respectively. I gotta say, I think I know where your guys' heads are at. Lucas is sneaking up to a point per game output, and he's 21 years old. And he keeps scoring on this pace. We are so fucked, and we are going to be so goddamn happy with $6 million because that number could be fucking terrifying if this pace continues. Because Lucas is doing a lot of it on his own. He's doing a lot of it by winning battles on the boards. And Lucas Raymond is turning into an utter superstar for the Detroit Red Wings right now. And, oh my God, are you guys going to be thanking your lucky stars? Because I think what this turned into, honestly, because I also put in a vote for 6 to 7 million. I think what we're doing is just like, this is what we hope for right now is 6 to 7. Dan you're watching, no, 5 to 7, 5.75 max. I don't know, Dan.
Dan has been, what's the word for it?
Fooled?
God, I can't, huh?
No, I said fooled. I was just kidding. I love
you. No, not fooled. He's been, I can't think of the word. He's been taught based on the way Steve gets in the negotiation room and fools these guys into taking discounts. Yeah, I could see Steve tricking him into conditioned. I couldn't think of that word. He's been conditioned to watch Yzerman negotiate these deals under their market value. So I'm done. Like I thought for sure Larkin was going to be like, dude, this team is not very good. You got to pay me or I'm leaving. And he took 8.7, which I thought was pretty reasonable for their captain, their best player, a top 20 player in the league. So 7+ out of the question. That I would have that at 0% because these guys love Steve. They love giving him a victory in the negotiating book. So honestly, I would probably say 5 to 6 because he's still 21, and Steve might just say, "Look, we do want to take care of our guys, but taking care of you also means we get you to a point where you can make really, really big money in a couple years. So you haven't quite like blown up, but if we give you 3 years at like 5.8 or 5.9." Then you get to renegotiate when you really have things figured out, and then you could be looking at like 9 or 10 a year.
Last 20 games, 20 points for Lucas. 7 goals and 13 assists. No, 6 goals and 14 assists. I'm just saying it looks like he's hitting another level. I mean, there's been a lot of multi-point game. We've got 3 in a row now for Raymond. Or I'm sorry, 2 in a row of multi-point games. I think there's a 3rd in a row coming, and it's going to be huge because he's owning the puck when he needs to. If he's getting the space, we just saw him put it in the back of the net when they are giving him like the Patrick Kane space, which is just crazy to me. Not that they're giving him the space, but just that we're seeing it now on 2 separate lines. You can have Lucas Raymond or Patrick Kane scaring defenses to death. And God damn it, if he does get hot here and things don't turn out great, but we know this team's going to be upgraded again this offseason. You gotta do right by your prospects, by your prospect pool. You've got to show confidence in yourself at some point, right? Especially when this guy's, and we're not like talking about like 5 games. Remember we had the Adam Ernie who had 10 games and he had like 8 points in those 10 games or something. And we were just joking around and we knew things weren't going to work out. This is a guy that we've been waiting for this to happen. And now it's been happening for 20 straight games. So it's not just pucks bouncing in. I think we're seeing a guy that's playing tougher on the boards, like I mentioned. And again, in that Seattle game, it's a whole nother level for Lucas.
I love the eyeball test. And, if you get lucky and some pucks, kind of bounce off you, that's one thing. But like you said, he is creating offense, and he's doing things that not a lot of people, in the league can do. So yeah, it's a guy that you definitely want to retain. If I was his agent, I think I would think about maybe asking for like 6 on a 3-year or something like that, just so you can really cash in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, if you could talk him into a bridge deal, if the conversation is just like, look, Lucas, I can't commit to something long. I don't see it yet. I'm also cool with that. I don't think Lucas is going anywhere, but I do think the conversation is fair to say it's now turned to the point where we need to start looking at it and saying like, oh man, how high could this number get? But I do think you guys are crazy because we spend all season and everybody wants to defend Ben Sherratt and Andrew Kopp to the death, and everyone right now in the chat is like, whoa. Lucas sucks. Let's not give him over 6. All right, you guys, you're crazy. I'm giving the praise with what I see. And the
I think that a lot of it seems like the consensus is that Yzerman's going to probably knock it down from the number we think it's going to be. And I think it's really in everyone's best interest to make it a shorter deal. Because again, he is only 21. He's not quite there for a point a game. So let's just let him get that, at a raise. But let his production over the next couple years be the main negotiator.
I think Steve knows what he's doing when he's signing bottom 6 guys. But the second he's looking at top 6, That's when he's shelling out dough. All right, so let's stop.
I don't know what comment you're concerned with, because I think everybody's just, they're pretty pragmatic comments.
I'm just kidding.
Decoy saying boo graphs.
Hey, this is just you guys voting. This is
boo graphs. That should be our next episode name. The other, what's funny too about Bertuzzi?
I do have a couple of comparable contracts. Actually, I wanted to bring.
We loved him in this town, and I feel kind of bad that he's just kind of petered out a little bit. Now we had that one season where I think it was like 66 points, 68 games, and he's just having a lot of trouble getting there again. Kind of stinks.
I just wanted to bring these up because we've seen some numbers that are ticking up towards the Nylanders right now, especially at the same point that Lucas is at right now. We've seen it happen with Boldy.
You saw Larkin, Matt.
No, I'm not saying anybody's wrong. I'm bringing up more evidence to say why we could be more scared of a $7 million number with the cap, especially with the cap going up. That's always something we got to consider, that the agents are going to change their conversation too. And if they start talking about percentages, this number that we're looking at for William Nylander and these numbers for Matt Boldy, well, Matt Boldy is 1-for-1. Like, that was last year. But at least for William Nylander, that number could have been a lot higher. So I just saying, there is some evidence out there that it could come back to bite us. But look, I'm going to put it this way. I'm totally cool with it if it goes in that direction, because I feel really good about Lucas right now.
I don't think anyone's going to be upset. I think they might be a little surprised, but as far as like a talent assessment, I think that one would be much more on the money. And actually, another one that was right on the money was Bertuzzi, which, again, apologies to that guy. He hasn't earned that number that he initially asked Steve for. It's kind of a bummer on both sides. We would have kept him if he was doing well. But yeah, it still feels like sky's the limit for Master Raymond.
Yeah, the other thing I brought up here was Moritz Seider, and we were trying to land on numbers, and I think you guys threw in some of the comments too. We already mentioned them, and I do forgive me, guys. I already scrolled away. But there were some Seiders in there that are higher than the numbers we were just talking about with Lucas. I think somebody threw out an 8. Oh, 8 years, $7 million for Seider, and Crimson's doing 5 years, $5 million for Lucas Raymond. There were some,
by the way,
numbers. Yeah.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw this in there. Craig pitching that he's going to get cat money. What do you think of that?
I think that would be pretty cool. Like, if we're gonna do it like this, like Dylan is the highest paid player on the team, and they want to start building like that. That would be pretty neat, because we have Larkin at 8.7. Oh man. I gotta say, I'm gonna be cool with like an 8 number. If it's below 8, that is an incredible win, I think, for the Wingdings. Blake's at 8 by 8.53. Dan B, 6 years, 7.75. I do feel like Steve is gonna want to hit that 8 years for Seider, right? Like, you don't get that opportunity with everybody. I think he's gonna want to pay Seider. I think he plays Seider enough. I think they know, looking up and down this lineup, like, even at 22 years old, he's just going to get better. He's going to get smarter. And eventually this will be the number one player on this team. So you're still paying him less than Cale Makar. You're not even getting close to the Drew Doughty numbers. And I pulled up all the numbers here. By time on ice per game is what I pulled up here for the 2023-24 season. Moritz Seider's number 21 on this list. So believe it or not, Red Wings spread out their minutes better than 20 other teams. which is just crazy to me, considering what we're looking at Moritz Seider. But still, you're gonna fall underneath the Charlie McAvoys. You're gonna fall underneath. Well, thank God you're gonna fall. Or you don't even want to compare to Seth Jones, I guess is what I want to say. Petrangelo's definitely a different conversation there. With his age once he was signed by Vegas. And Adam Fox, and it's one of those things too. Like I mean, Fox and Makar come out of the gate, and they are turning heads for all-star games and, MVP conversations because of their point production. And right now, we don't see evidence that is going to be the case for Seider.
I do have one homework assignment for you. If pulling up the JFresh for Seider versus Hronek, just because Hronek's he's been so productive this season, and we know how good he was with the giant mustache when he was a Red Wing. He has been a little more productive, so I just wonder what kind of number, if we're going to compare Seider and Hronek, if Seider's looking at more of a Hronek contract than these upper echelon ones, because he's not quite the point producer that those big dogs are.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with Blake here, because Hronek's also hitting those years where it's like this is the height of Hronek's career. Blake throw it in there. He's going to be playing like a $10 million player. I rarely do this, but that's where my head's at. I agree with Blake, and I think if you overspend a little bit right now and get him in that $8 million number, but it's going to be 8 for 8 years. I think you're going to be okay.
I actually feel more confident about a larger number for Lucas than Seider. Is that weird?
Well,
is that weird?
Yeah. Have you noticed how hard it is to find some good right side defensemen in the NHL?
Yeah,
I'll throw that out there as some evidence.
I mean, we love him. I just feel like I can see Raymond being a $10 million guy.
Yeah.
Mo, I just want to see more, I guess. And I know that, sometimes it can really be partner dependent if you got a coattails partner with you. Yeah, I would wait. I would see if Steve can work on, a couple 3-year deals for these guys. And, then, obviously give them significant raises now, but I'm not ready to do like 8 for 8 for Mo.
Whew.
And it's not that I want to see him go, but I'm like, let's see you be like, a top 5 or 6 defenseman.
I feel like Padme right now. You're breaking my heart.
I want a little. I want a little more. I want a little more from Mo.
I guess we definitely disagree on that one.
On his laurels, Mo. I want to get paid $12 million, Mo. Like working that hard.
So you want a couple of bridge deals, I think, is where you're going to land, Mike.
Yeah, these guys are so young. I would think it's kind of bananas to give them like $64 million over 8. I would try to do like damn. I guess even 3 for 24. It seems like a small number, right? But that would be 3 years at 888. We've just been so conditioned by other sports that's not a big that's literally the smallest of the major sports. Yeah, I mean, if they could do 3 for 21 or 22.5 or something, I think that would be better.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay pat on my Seider. I'm okay with the 8x8 because it's gonna feel like nothing in a couple of years. It's gonna feel like you've got a bargain of all time on your right side for defensemen. Maybe it is kind of setting the market for defensemen that are producing at Seider's level, but it won't be. It'll kind of be like when Stafford set the market, and then the next year it didn't even matter. But yeah, with Lucas too, I'm just getting more nervous that number's sniffing around 7, especially with the salary cap increasing, which is another thing I think agents aren't going to forget. But I do hope we get. I think landing in a $6 million number if that's the conversation we're having in a few months, I think we could all applaud. I think we could all be happy.
That's a home run.
Yeah. If it's anywhere under 7, like you can definitely start the conversation, I feel like, on a losing side if the number is past 7.
Let's
Right?
pepper a few comments in there because I know we're kind of getting towards the end of our episode too. Dixon, Seider, because I'm trying not to get caught reading that name again. Sanderson is Mo's best equivalent.
Who's at the what is he at? 8.5 or 7.5? Oh, Newsy Groove's got us. 8. 8.5.
Yeah, thanks, Newsy. And then Jared just saying a stat comparison for us to work on. Hronik last year with, and then without mustache.
Oh.
Fethdar. How you doing, bud? I haven't seen you in a minute.
Jake's at 8.05, so he's right at that 8 years, 8 million, which I thought was a little premature. And you're talking a right side defenseman for Seider, and the left side defenseman for Jake. So I don't know.
Fethdar thrown in there. I think this is why Yzerman didn't keep Hronik. Didn't want to pay 2 players with the same or similar role on the team, so he kept the younger, better version. Decoy, again, just trying to vibe with me the entire episode, every single week, saying Zegras is a good comp.
And he's at 5.75, I think.
Yeah. And then Blake thrown in, once you get Mo in the playoffs, we are screwed. Get it done now. Blake,
if that might mean, Blake, that he's gonna perform incredibly well, and then we'll have to pay him at the booty. Yeah.
And then and then Crimson Shadow saying Hronik should have kept the Wendell Clark mustache. R.I.P. Wendell Clark mustache.
All right. Uh-oh. Jared deleted that so I don't get called out by Matt. Lol. Oh, man. What did I miss? Ah. All right. Well, any hoozles, I got to go. I didn't realize it was 8:10. Guys, thanks for coming aboard. We have some fun episodes coming up. We have some super fun ones coming up because the trade talk's going to heat up. Some new names are going to hit trade blocks. And, hey, we'll have a little more information on where we stand for a wild card spot. So my weekly routine, I'm going to go get in trouble with my wife. And I will
make plans too. I might even take March 8th off. And we could just do like a live episode for the last hour.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Maybe a half day, right? Because I think it's like 3 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, 2 o'clock. All right. But yeah, plan on that, guys. I think that would be fun. Definitely in the Discord. We'll have some fun all day in there. All right. Join the Discord. Hit like if you're catching us. Subscribe if it's your first time. You had a good time. We brought up some fun stuff.
Don't forget to have some Tums tomorrow because that Colorado game's going to be stressful. Woohoo!
I'm calling a W. All right. Woo! See you guys.